Today's video I'm going to teach you how to tape the tapered edge joints on drywall. Now, drywall normally comes in 8 or 10 foot long sheets. Along those long edges, the edges of the drywall taper down. They go from, this is 1/2 inch drywall, so it goes from like a 1/2 inch down to like 3/8. It tapers down on these long edges. If I stick my knife right here, I don't know if you can see that or not, but there's a little bit of an air gap here, maybe like a 1/16 of an inch, something like that. Reason why it's tapered like that is because when we go to put our tape on the joint, that tape joint is recessed into the drywall. So when I go to finish this, put the second and third coat on, it's going to be pretty darn flat and it's going to be a lot easier to finish. As opposed to butt joints, which I just did a video on how to do butt joints. Butt joints are a lot trickier because edges are not tapered down. So taking a look at this here, you can see a couple imperfections. Screws kind of broke a bit of the drywall right there. That I'm not concerned about. This is a door right here, so the door trim is going to come out to maybe here. It's going to cover all that up, so I really don't care about that. What I am focused on is this joint right here. So the first thing I'm going to do, take my knife, run it down along the joint. Just make sure I don't hear any of the screws hitting my knife. If one of these screws is sticking out further than the face of the drywall, when you go over it, you're going to hear a little click. I'm not hearing anything. Like this one maybe out a little bit. No. Well, you get the idea. What I'm going to do now is show you the consistency of my mud. So for taping joints, I like the consistency in between yogurt and peanut butter. So if I have the mud on the edge of the knife, you can see how that just starts to flow off a little bit. That's where I like it. Some guys like it thicker, some guys like it thinner. I have my piece of paper tape already pre-cut. So what I'm going to do now, get a good chunk of mud on my knife, clean up the edge, clean up the edge. I'm going to do, put it against the joint and just run it down along here like this. This takes a little bit of practice, but it's really not that hard to get. Same thing, we'll continue that down. Clean up the edges. Use a little bit more right here. This is a little bit tricky because I have this lolly column here. Come back the other way. Now what I'm going to do, just put a little bit on there, clean up the edges again. What I'm going to do, like a 45-degree angle, just going to apply a little bit of pressure. I'm just looking to spread out that mud a little bit. A few little air gaps in there. I'm going to put a little bit more mud on my knife. Go over it one more time. Might need to go over it twice. What we're looking for is just a nice, smooth, even coat. I need a little bit more right here, no big deal. Just throw it on, come back the other way. Take off the excess. There we are. Now that mud is probably like, I don't know, it's probably like in between a 1/16 and an 1/8 inch thick, probably closer to a 1/16. Not too bad. So I have my tape. Now, a lot of the pros have those tape guns. I didn't want to buy one. If I was doing a bigger job, I'd probably buy one, but for this job, I don't think I really need it. I got my pre-cut tape. It's important that you put the tape on here the right way. So if you take the tape and you pinch it, it's going to have a tendency to fold in one direction. Now that pointed, folded edge, that's going to go against the wall. I'm going to start right here. Make sure I'm lined up nice. Make sure I'm lined up right on the joint. A little bit of pressure. Go down maybe 3 feet. Make sure I'm lined up nice on the joint. A little bit of pressure. Now there's a little tail right here, which extends past where I previously put my mud. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take the knife. I'm going to rip off the extra piece of tape. We don't need that right now. So now what you do, it's a good idea to start from the middle and work one way. So I'm just going to 45-degree angle, moderate pressure. I'm just working on taking some of this extra mud out of here. If you want, you could take some of the extra mud and actually put it over the tape. Some guys think that helps it stick better. I don't know. I think it definitely covers the tape a little bit better. I think it helps it stick a little bit better, but again, just like a 45-degree angle, pushing out the mud. When you get to the end, you actually could take the knife and go the opposite way, push some of the mud out. That helps a lot on the floors. Put a little bit more back on the tape. like that. What I'm gonna do from here, I'm gonna taper the edges, 45-degree angle. Well, 45-degree angle, but I'm also putting a lot of pressure down on the right side like this. What that's doing, you can see how it's a little bit thinner there and it's thicker right there, so we're just doing a nice little taper. Get ready for the next coat. Do the same thing up high. Just like that. See a little imperfection here, gonna go over it again. That's fine, we'll get that the next coat. The back side, this is a little tricky with this column here. Put a little bit of extra mud on there. Not perfect, but it's good enough. Nice. I gotta clean up this side a little bit. So with this side, I'm gonna push the knife forward and you're gonna see some of that mud come out. See how some of that extra mud comes out? Just clean that up like so. Again, if you want, you could throw a little bit of extra mud on this. Go back the other way. See how that looks? It's pretty nice. 45, or well, tapered, you know what I'm trying to say here. We actually could demonstrate this right here. So if I want to put mud on the wall, I'm going to hold it at a flatter angle to the wall, maybe like a 10-degree angle, and you can see how that goes on, right? 10-degree angle, mud stays on. If you turn it more towards like an 80-degree angle, look at what happens. Takes it right off, right? So you want to keep it flatter to the wall when you're putting this stuff on, and you want to take it off, steeper angle. What I'm going to do now, show you how to taper the edges on this spot, right? So if we do a 45-degree angle, that's going to take some mud off, but it's going to leave some on. 45, right? See? So we have some on. Took a lot off there. What I'm going to do, I'm going to feather the edges just like we did here. So I'm going to put pressure, the right side of the knife on the bottom. Probably like, maybe like a 40-degree angle, something like that. See? It's thinner here. A little bit thicker right there. Don't worry about those little lines right now. This is our first coat. We got 2 more coats to go at least. Do the same thing on the top. It was a little bit uneven, you can see that. I'll fix that up a little bit. It's a little bit better now. Go over it one more time, smooth it out a little bit. Right, something like that. So this is just a good thing to practice to kind of get in the motion of what I'm doing here. Just going over some of the basics. So I'll take this off like it was never there. So a couple final closing thoughts here. It's up to you if you want to put the extra mud and throw it over the tape. I think a lot of the professionals do. I think it helps a little bit. I think it helps the adhesion of the tape a little bit. Also, don't be worried about getting like a little bit of line here, a little bit of line there. It's really not going to matter because we're doing 2 or 3 coats and then we're sanding over this. The next coat is really what matters a lot. So, but it's also important to make sure that you get this tape on here right. So if I take the knife and go over the tape right now, this is a good way to check. And it's just about completely flat all the way down. So that's real nice. So when we do our second coat, we're just going to feather this out to like here. And third coat, we're going to feather it out a little bit wider, light sand, and that's going to be that. So that's how you tape a tapered edge joint. Really simple. I hope this video was helpful. Hope you learned a few things. Really, drywalling is pretty forgiving. As long as you can set the tape right. I mean, if you need to do a couple extra coats, it's no big deal. If you put too much on, you just scrape it off and sand it down. It's really forgiving. It's not like wood, where if you cut wood, you're done with drywall, taping. Well, if you screw up on the tape, then you got some problems. But I mean, if you're not happy with how the tape's coming out right now, all you do, rip it off, get a sponge, and you can gently take off the mud, try again. Or maybe you can reuse the mud, but by this point it's probably drying out a little bit. So again, if you're not happy at this point, rip it off, take it off, you'll be fine.